Co-chairs Winters and Williamson. My name is Cynthia Stinson. I'm the interim executive director of the Oregon Sexual Assault Task Force, and I'm here today to speak in support of the DOJ budget and specifically the Crime Victim Services Division. The Sexual Assault Task Force was formed originally as a task force under the Department of Justice and is now a private nonprofit, and we work to develop and support an effective, consistent, and collaborative approach to the response to an and reduction of adult and adolescent sexual assault in Oregon. I'm specifically here to add our voice to the growing number of those here requesting a $4 million increase in the Oregon Domestic and Sexual Violence Services Fund. Oregon's commitment to consistent and sustainable funding for victim services is vitally important to the safety of some of the state's most vulnerable citizens. Oregon's sexual and domestic violence programs rely on a combination of federal funds, state, and local funds. The Great Recession, as we now know it, has been particularly hard on fundraising opportunities for nonprofits, and in some cases stretching them very thin, and some have had to close their doors, unfortunately. The federal funds that are used to augment state funds are inconsistent and unstable. As we speak, they're still trying to pass the Federal Violence Against Women Act that embarrassingly has been held up for over a year at the federal level. The Federal Victims of Crime Act Fund, which is critical for much funding to victim services in Oregon, is essentially being held hostage and used as a budget balancing tool at the federal level, with $8 billion being held and not released to the states because they can say they didn't spend it. They can say they saved it if they didn't spend it. So that money is not coming to Oregon, and Oregon services need more funding. The looming sequestration is a big question mark in many of our minds, especially in regards to the ongoing grant programs in the state of future grants. Federal funds are also often not renewable and come with extremely restrictive and onerous reporting requirements, further limiting their usefulness as sustainable funding. ODSVS is the most relevant and flexible funding source for Oregon's local domestic and sexual violence services program, allowing them to keep their doors open to victims. Now more than ever, domestic and sexual violence victims in Oregon rely on the public's commitment to ODSVS funding in order to sustain existing services. From its inception, ODSVS was intended to and has served as a safety net for its service providers and for victims in Oregon. Further, ODSVS money is used to leverage other funds for these programs, other fundraising, other grants, federal and state. They're able to use it to show how their sustaining services and their programs can be built on in order to be more successful. The fabric of victims services to victims of crime in Oregon is tightly woven and relies on close local collaboration and coordination. The crossover of victims utilizing services from sexual and domestic violence nonprofits, child abuse intervention programs, and prosecutor-based victims assistance programs is frequent. Adequate funding for all local victim services is vital to ensure safety for all victims. To that end, we encourage you to increase ODSVS by $4 million and the criminal fine money going to the CAMI fund by $2 million and also to the prosecutor-based victim assistance programs by $2 million. Thank you.
Thank you.